All right, now that we've gotten a hold of text to image, how to build that whole workflow, and then how to modify it for even image to image, uh, all in a way to control that final output a little bit more than just prompting. You're actually getting control over it. Module three, what we're going to talk about is we're going to explore that even more about style and creative control. And we want to get away from the slot machine, right? We don't want to just keep changing the seed. We want to start exploring the dials that the different tool sets that Comfy gives us. So that means we're going to be looking at LoRAs, we're going to be looking at style transfer, and we're going to be looking at control nets. Now, what do all of those terms mean? Don't worry, we're going to get into it. But the real thing that I want you to focus on for this module is the concept of stop pulling the lever and start directing. So what does this mean? It means that we're just not going to change our prompt over and over again, change the seed. That's all. Sometimes you'll land on the look exactly, but it's more accidental than intentional. So these tools are going to be, and techniques are going to be designed to show you how to direct, how to really control that final image in order to suit your vision. Because Comfy is a tool, it's not a slot machine. And one of the biggest tools for controlling the style of an image is a LoRA. Now, what does a LoRA stand for? It stands for low rank adaptation. And what that means is think of it like a little mini model that you bolt on top of the main model. It's a little mini model hat that totally changes the look of the person and without having to retrain the whole model. So this is really lightweight to load. It's easy to even stack. You can stack multiple LoRAs. You can stack multiple hats. And this becomes a really powerful technique to control both consistency, but also style. And one really fun example of this is going to be this Inflate LoRA, which I'm going to show you in just a second. This is a Qwen Image edit LoRA. So again, we are training just like we've been talking about how clip VAE models, all of them need to be in the same family as the base model. Well, this LoRA is a Qwen Image edit LoRA, meaning that the original LoRA was trained on images generating from Qwen Image edit, and it attaches to this specific model. So you can't use this LoRA for SDXL, for example, or any other type of model. It has to be Qwen Image edit. And this works very simply. You just attach it to the original LoRA right in the model path. I'll show you an example in just a second. You trigger it with its training word. So for this one, it's just going to be inflate. And then you're going to get the exact same look each single time. So you're not going to have to type anything more than just inflate, and it'll just do it. Now, a great way to find LoRAs is by going to the Comfy Hub, and that's where this LoRA is coming from. And it's a big community library that has a whole bunch of different LoRAs for you to check out. Civitai is also a really good one. But Comfy Hub I like because it comes with the workflows already, the base images. So it's a really good example and a way to demonstrate these techniques really, really right out of the box. So again, it's all about making you more comfortable jumping into Comfy, and this is a great way to do it. And I'm even going to show you in a little bit how to train your own LoRA if you're interested. Now, for that technique, you're going to need to have a desktop. It has to be local. There are some other cloud-based solutions that allow you to, if you don't have a super powerful machine, you can train it on the cloud, but you won't be able to train a LoRA on Comfy Cloud. It has to be a separate service or your own local instance. And I'll show you an example on that in just a second. This is a really fun one. So let's go ahead and check out the inflate effect. And this one comes from PERS, and it does basically exactly what it sounds like. So it's been trained on puffy images of people. So you can do all sorts of really fun things. He's had a whole bunch of examples that he's put on social about this. It's a very fun workflow. And again, it works very simply. You give it the input image. So this man being very happy in a laundromat. You then trigger the word, which is inflate, and then the subject, which is the man. And then you're going to get the Qwen Image model to edit that base photo and turn it into a puffy version of itself. Very silly, very great. Let's check it out. So all you're going to have to do is click on Try on Comfy Cloud, and it's going to open this up. And this is the example workflow. It's going to be all contained inside of this main subgraph. So most Comfy workflows from the hub consolidate the very expansive graph, which let's go ahead and look at this. It's not too bad, but it definitely, we like to package things up so it's very, very simple. And then what you're seeing here is under the hood is we are loading the diffusion model, and then we're loading this LoRA, which if, see, this all kind of stacks, so it's a little bit hard to see, but if we pull this out, essentially what we're doing is just loading our base model, then loading our LoRA model for the inflate style, and we're putting that right in the same model stream, and then passing that off to Qwen Image Edit. Needs a couple different normalization nodes before it goes right into the K sampler. So that's what these are doing right here. But it's basically just going right into this model input right here. So again, it's just bolting it on. It's just putting the hat on, right? So this is going to be the puffy hat. And let me go ahead and put this all back because I like things nice and neat. And all we're doing is inflate and then the subject, which is the man. And let's go ahead and again, I like preview image nodes so we don't messy up the asset library for just tests. So again, you can do that by just dragging out the image tab, gives you your suggestion. And yes, we want the preview image. And let's go ahead and just click go. And while you're waiting for Qwen Image Edit to do its thing and for the GPU to pick it up, go ahead and look over here on the Markdown note, and it explains where all these models live if you want to do this locally on your desktop as well. And in just a minute, Qwen Image Edit is actually a very fast model for doing these types of things. We're going to have that puffy image. And it's as simple as that. Really, the hardest thing is going to be training these LoRAs because you have to give it a lot of example images of what you want. Some models need more, some models need less. Typically, I'm finding that between 30 and 50 example images get you there. And then it's all about the training steps, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But let's go ahead and just wait for a minute and see the puffy version. And there we go. Just like we were hoping for, puffy version. So that's a really fun workflow. It's really fun to put on different images. And then it's even more fun to then use these as base images for video models. And then you can animate yourself. It's very fun. But let's jump back from Qwen Image Edit and let's go back to Stable Diffusion. Again, I like to start these lessons off focusing on Stable Diffusion because it's where it all started. It's an easy model to train on top of for these LoRAs. There's a lot of LoRAs available to demonstrate this concept. And we're also going to explore the concept of LoRA stacking. So you can take multiple different styles and again, you can stack it on top to get unique effects. So let's go ahead and just, we're going to load up the Comfy 101 LoRA stacking workflow. And you're going to see I'm setting all my models up over here. And this is a way to fight the spaghetti. I like these getting set nodes. I'm passing my clip to my clip encode right here. And what we're going to be doing is generating an image of a young woman warrior holding a sword, standing full body, plain gray background, centered, cyberpunk anime, neon lights, and glowing. And let's go on over here and we're going to generate our image. So this has no LoRA applied to it. This is just Stable Diffusion being Stable Diffusion. And you'll see what we can kind of base on top of this because we're going to use the exact same prompt for each one of these. So this is what Stable Diffusion does. It's exactly what I was asking for, right? Cyberpunk has a lightsaber sword. Very cool. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the load LoRA model node right here. So again, just double click in your node graph right there and type in load LoRA. And we're going to be using model and clip. There's load LoRA where if you're just going to just load the base image, the base model and attach it right here. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be loading the LoRA and the clip because it gives us a couple different control sliders on here. And you can just read it right here, what you're doing. But it's, again, a different way to kind of control it. Same principle, though. So we're going to be loading it here. And I'm going to be giving this model strength of 1. So I want it to affect it. And I'm going to give it the clip strength of 1 as well. How strongly to modify the clip model based on this load LoRA model. So this one right here, what we're going to be doing is same exact prompt as we had before, but we're adding these trigger words that this specific LoRA requires. So when they're training the model, what they're doing is injecting this clip, this name for this specific title, this style into the model itself, so that when we use the LoRA, now the model knows, oh, you're talking about this. And it's grabbing that style and now applying it to the image. So exact same model, exact same prompt as before, but now we're going to get kind of a retro art cyberpunk vibe. So again, we're just going to click there and apply the model. There you go. So same general style, same general everything, but now we have this cool anime line art style that this specific model right here was trained on. Now, let's see what happens when we lower the model strength. So let's go by half. We're going to go 0.5. I'm going to leave clip the same place, but we're going to lower that model strength. So how strongly do we want the LoRA to be applied to that final image? Think of this very similarly like the underpainting technique that we were doing for image to image, where you're lowering your denoise value. It's just a way to kind of tell the model how much influence do you want this new data to be applied to. And you're going to see it goes through. There you go. And it's a little bit more realistic. So the lower you apply this, now let's go to 0.1. The closer you're actually going to start getting to this original realistic image. So it's going to just kind of start ignoring the LoRA more and more based on that. And there you go. So we're starting to get this kind of like strong line art that's getting applied, right? But it looks more and more realistic to here. So that's what that model strength does. Let's go ahead and set that back to 1. Now, LoRA stacking, the exact same principle as before, right? But we're going to be actually increasing the model strength a little bit higher. So these are different weights that you're applying to the LoRA, and you can go above 1. If you start going too high, you're going to start getting, I call it over baking. It just starts looking a little weird. So anything above 1, just be kind of cautious of it. But I typically have to do that when you're LoRA stacking. So just keep that in mind. And again, I'm keeping the kind of the same clip strength for each one of these, but I'm going to be modifying the model strength. So same model as before, cyberpunk anime style, but here we're going to be adding in this fantasy wizard witches LoRA, which is triggered by this keyword HK magic. So it just kind of gives it a little bit of magical vibes to it. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. And we're just stacking 2 here, but there's no limit to just 2. You could do 3, 4, 5 different LoRAs, all with different model strengths. Again, it's a way of, instead of just modifying your prompt, you're actually modifying the image, giving it new data. And here you go. It's a little bit more magical, but we're applying these different styles. Now, if we want less magic, well, let's go ahead and lower this down to 1. On the magic LoRA, we're going to click go, and then we're going to see a little bit closer to what this is right here. But it's all about LoRA stacking. So yeah, you can already see the preview image right there. So it's given a probably more of a line art vibe like we were originally having. If we set this model strength back to, yeah, it is at 1. Let's go ahead and play that so we can kind of see what that original 1 was as well. There you go. So you can see it's close to this style, just a little bit more kind of heavier line art is applied. Again, it's starting to give you this unique style, and it's all just because we're mixing these different LoRa's together. So again, it's about finding those magical numbers, but now it's again about the dials. It's not about the prompt. Uh, you don't want to keep changing the seeds. I'm keeping my seed exactly the same each time. We can just click this to fixed. There you go. And that's a good way to kind of just control it and make sure that it is all the same. There you go. It's again, it's pushing it more towards that magical feel, but we still have that kind of that line art, retro art vibe that I was getting there. So it's a very fun way to kind of control your images, and I think it's really fun to play with. So play around with this. I want you to kind of add your own LoRa's. You can find these in a variety of places. I will typically go on Civet if I'm trying to find new ones. But if you click here, I was working with Stable Diffusion. I would just type in SDXL. There you go. See, a lot of these have the images already loaded, but this one's pretty fun too. You could turn all of your images into glass sculptures. Let's click on the info. Again, it tells you the base model this is being applied to and the all-important trigger phrases for you to use. So again, just put those right in the prompt, that positive prompt, and then this will be triggered and applied. Stack them, try different ones. It's really fun to explore and a great way to control your image output. Now, these are all the ones that are available to you. But what if, for example, you're working in production and your art department has made a ton of amazing art and they want to start iterating on that art, right? Well, how do you train your own LoRa? So we talked about this just a little bit ago. And again, you're going to need a service outside of Comfy Cloud because you don't have the train LoRa node on here. It's an architecture problem. It takes a lot of GPU power in order to generate these LoRa's. So there are some outside services. Just give it a quick Google. There's a ton of them. But if you have a super powerful machine, like I do with my Dell, with my 6000 Blackwell in there, you can go ahead and just do this entirely locally. So let's explore that workflow next. And what we're going to see very quickly here with this is that a LoRa is really a data set problem. It's a data set challenge because LoRa is only as good. The output is only going to be as good as what you feed it. It's the old principle of garbage in, garbage out. So if you give it really good stuff, clean, consistent, varied looks, you're going to get the best results on the other end. So typically it's around 20 to 40 images it's going to vary between your different models. Again, we're going to be focusing on Stable Diffusion because that's the easiest one to kind of jump into with these. We're going to be very specific with our captions. So we're going to be choosing a word that probably wouldn't be inside of a prompt normally. And it's going to be very specific to what we're seeing here. So sometimes you'll see LoRa's with like really long, almost like conceptual names because they're just very out there. It's because it's a very specific hook to trigger that LoRa. So that's going to be the thing. And it's also very important if you're making LoRa's to make sure, just like I'm always pushing for using models that have been trained on ethically sourced data, make sure that you're training your LoRa on images that you own or are licensed to use. You don't want to be cloning any real persons or likenesses or living artists' styles without their permission. That's not cool. So we wanted to do this the right way. And in the words of Ian Malcolm, the scientists were too preoccupied with whether or not they could. They never stopped to think about whether or not they should. So capability is not the same as a green light. Use this responsibly because it's a very powerful technique. So let's go ahead and explore it. All right, so this is Comfy 101 TrainLoRA. Load this up on your local desktop for full access to all of this stuff to be able to actually do it. So up top, what you're going to see is we're going to generate some samples real quick. So we're going to be generating the style. We're going to be using, again, Dreamshaper XL for this. Again, it's just a really easy one to just kind of jump into. And you're going to see my batch size down here is going to be 30 images. So we're going to try 30 data sets, 30 images that throw in there. And what we're going to be doing is let's do a cat sculpture with translucent molten glass glowing from within with electrical teal and amber bioluminescence. How did I come up with this? Well, I just used an LLM to generate I told it, make a cool Stable Diffusion style that is unique. And this is what it came up with. So what we don't want is anything anime, cartoon, flat, opaque, blurry, low res, all that stuff. So everything's in the negative prompt right there. And let's go ahead and go over to our preview image node over here. And we're going to hit go. And this is going to go very, very fast. And again, I've changed this to just be a fixed value because once I get the LoRA, that the style that I want, there it is right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this and it's going to produce it on the fly and then feed that into this training section over here. If you already have some images that are in a batch folder, there are some beta nodes out there to load images from a batch folder directly in. It's literally just hooking that into this image knob right here, but you'll see that I'm feeding it directly in. And what this is doing is it's giving me a whole bunch of different ones of transparent glass cats. It's kind of neat. There you go. Very cool style. Definitely unique. So this will stand out. So now down here we have we're loading in our get model right here. Again, we're just loading the model into the train model because we're going to be training on top of this model because it's going to be a Stable Diffusion XL LoRA. And we're plugging it into this new node called TrainLoRA. Wonder how they picked the name, right? And it's very, very simple. Really, you don't have to change much except for the step value here. Steps are how many times we're going to train this image, how many times we're going to give the model a chance to generate an image in the same style from what it's learning. So a good rule of thumb is for every image, just basically multiply it by 100. That's a really good starting point. So we're doing 30 images over here. So 30 times 100 is 3,000. Some models will take more steps. Some models will take less steps. So do a quick Google, ask your favorite LLM, hey, how I'm using this model, I'm training a LoRA, how many steps should I use? And it'll give you those values pretty straight away. But the other node that we're going to need here is this make training dataset node right here. And all this does is give it that caption. So our trigger here is going to be Comfy Cat. And then we're going to be using this other node over here called Save LoRA Weights. And it's going to be naming the LoRA ComfyUI underscore trained underscore LoRA right here, and then some information about the steps that are being involved out there. So you don't have to keep that name, just save it for what it is. But then we're going to load this underneath. The other node I like to load in here is also the plot loss graph. What this basically just looks like, this is a normal, this is an earlier training run that I did. And this is how it should look. It should look very noisy throughout the entire time. If it falls off, that means that something went wrong. If you don't see any noise, it means something's bad. So this just tells me everything is cool. And it's just my little preview viewer. So this is going to take a second to run, but let's go ahead and down here, I have the LoRA already applied. It's already set to go. So I'm going to select these nodes and I'm going to hit bypass because I'm not ready. The LoRA is not trained yet. It's not going to do anything. So let's go ahead and hit run. And again, it's going to generate all of my images first on the fly. We're keeping that fixed seed. And now it's all getting pumped right into that train LoRA node. And I'm going to be doing 3,000 steps. So you can already see the progress bar is starting to fill up there. And this is going to take a second. So we're going to let my Blackwell do its thing. And then we'll be right back. Okay, we're all done training now. That took about 30 minutes. And you can see each one of those 3,000 steps all represented in this point loss graph. So again, this noise means everything. Everything seems to be going okay. A few different things inside this training LoRa. If we are, if really the only thing to really kind of look at right here is a cool thing is if you want to append to an existing LoRa. So if you have made this LoRa and then you're coming back later and you want to add more data to it, well, you can load that LoRa right here and keep working on it. It's just going to load the latest checkpoint, which is going to be the last little bit right here, and then just work on top. So don't feel like if this doesn't give you the result that you need, or maybe you get more artwork from your art department that you want to add to it, just go ahead and append it right there. But enough of that. Let's check out what we actually got. So we're going to go back down here to this section, and I want you to press R. R is going to update all of your models and node definitions that you're seeing right here. Because when we go to this load LoRa node right here, we click down right here, we are going to see our LoRa, which is going to be the 3,000 steps LoRa. So let's go ahead and click that. And real quick, down here, let's see what this prompt is going to make without this LoRa applied to it. So again, same prompt, comfy cat, right? That's all we're going to say, even comfy cat glass. It's just going to give you a cat. But now let's see it with the LoRa applied that we trained earlier. So let's hit play. It's going to load the LoRa. And now we have a glass cat, very similar to up here. It's grabbing the style, not so much the color that's going on here. So if we wanted to inject a little bit more of this type of look, I would grab some of the prompt that we saw there with that blue electric glass. But the overall style is coming through very, very nicely. Maybe this also needs more images applied to it for it to really lock into that look that we have instilled in there. Maybe more steps. Those are going to be the things back and forth as you refine the LoRa. But as you can see, the LoRa is applied. Same exact prompt, comfy cat glass, and you can see that it's applied. So this is a really cool way to, again, control the slot machine. You've got these tools that you can add to the existing model to really define your look, customize it for your work, and it's really good for product imagery, different character consistency work that you need to do. This is a really good technique, and you have it accessible all in ComfyUI. Now, I want to show you another route in order to control your look. And there's two different techniques here. One of them is kind of an image-to-image workflow. So this is going to be a style transfer workflow, and then also an IP adapter workflow. Now, let's first talk about the style transfer. So we're going to be taking an existing image, adding noise back into it, and then letting the text prompt steer the partial redraw of this, right? The style lives entirely in the prompt here. So denoising strength sets how far it strays away from the original. So we're going to be describing the look in words instead of the image. Let's go ahead and explore that now. So we're going to go back over into Comfy Cloud, and we're going to be loading in the SD15 Dream Shaper style transfer. And this is going to be very similar to that underpainting technique, that image to image workflow that we had before. But here, instead of loading in an image that we wanted to control the base, we're going to be generating that image on the fly. And we're going to mix it all dynamically. So this is a cool way to kind of segment your prompt so that you can describe your base image and then also describe your style instead of trying to find an image for it right out of the gate. It allows you to kind of fine tune those two different workflows. And again, it's all going to be controlled by this denoise strength. So let's go ahead and set our denoise strength down to, let's go 1, because we want to just see what this base image is. And what I want to see is a photorealistic portrait photograph of a weather-old fisherman. Again, this was generated by an LLM when I was making this lesson. This is what I thought would be a fun image. So let's see how it goes. So let's go ahead and go down to, we'll go right over here. So this preview image right here is going to be loading in that base image. So let's see our weather old fishing man. There he is. All right. And now let's go down here and we're going to set our denoise value down to 0.6. And what I want to see is an oil painting portrait of a weather old fisherman. Thick impasto brushstrokes, visible palette and knife texture, all the fun stuff right there. And now let's go down here to the preview image and click play. And then it's going to give us kind of the same image that we had before, right? We are keeping the exact same seed as before, a kind of a similar prompt, just slightly modified, where we're talking more about the style. So we're segmenting these things out in order to get a better image, and we're doing that by taking this original image VAE decode, and we're throwing that into as the latent image, right? But so we're taking our original weather image. So we're taking that original weather old. So we're taking that original image with no style, just the subject, right? We're plugging that into this VAE encode and then using that as our latent image. And instead of in the previous workflow where we had the latent image containing the style, we're now going to be putting the style that we want inside of the clip text encode. So we are describing the style, and then we're giving that denoise value to see how much we want it to be affected. So we can set this to 1, and let's see how much different we have here. Let's go ahead and hit play. And you can see if we have 1, well, it's a completely different thing, right? So it's completely ignoring this base image and just giving us an oil painting. So if we take this back down, put this back in over here, click play, it's going to retain the identity of the original image, just with a brand new style. So again, it's a different way of controlling your image. This is going to be using the description of it. Now, another method is the IP adapter method. Now, this is different than the image to image workflow, where we're going to be handing the model a reference image, and the IP adapter is going to read through it through the clip vision embeddings and transfer that directly to the image. So no words are going to be needed whatsoever. We don't have to describe it in the prompt of the style. You basically just point it to a painting and say, like this. So it's a little bit more of a human approach, I guess, is kind of how I'm thinking about it. But you're just kind of saying, here's the vibe. Go apply this to the image. So let's see that over in this Comfy 101 SDXL IP adapter style transfer. All right, and for this, I'm loading in this this kind of Baroque impressionistic painting right here, and I'm giving a very, very basic prompt, which is just a dog. I'm not describing this image over here. You're going to see that my denoise is at 1 because the IP adapter is going to be controlling the style transfer. So if we can adjust the weight right here. So if we set this weight down to 0, let's go ahead and hit preview image. I think you can guess what's going to happen. I'm just going to get a picture of a dog. No style applied to it whatsoever. There you go, exactly right. Now let's see it at a weight of, let's do 0.8 and hit go. And now we've got a more a painterly version of that dog. And again, it's using the kind of same colors, the same style, the same vibe of this original image, but it's not using it as an underpainting. It's more of just guiding the actual clip in order to generate this model. So it's interpreting things. It's a little bit more loose. It's a little bit more artistic, dare I say, to apply a style to a final image. So again, it's another way to control your image output. And that is what this whole thing is about. It is not just about the prompt. It's also about what kind of information you're giving it. I hope that's kind of what you're seeing here. No more slot machines. So what are control nets? Well, let's go ahead and load up control net pose depth Edge. And excuse for this one being a little bit messy, but this is actually a really cool workflow. This was generated entirely by Comfy's MCP tool. So this is an AI within an AI that allows you to generate workflows really, really quickly. And this was entirely generated by me asking it to please make a control net workflow. So this is what kind of an API looking version of these nodes are. API versions are basically just like they don't worry about all the spaghetti. This is more for the agent to work with than the person. So it's kind of like reading machine code sometimes. But I wanted to show you this because this is an example of a messier workflow that you'll sometimes have. But we're going to walk through it, and I'm going to kind of guide you through the spaghetti this time. But what a control net is we're going to be feeding a model a map, essentially, a pose skeleton, a depth map, maybe edges of the object that we want and the pose that we want. So the composition is actually set before a single prompt any of the words in the prompt is ever read in order to generate that. And it's another good way to control your output without having to keep going back to the prompt. We can give it example images, example data to guide that final composition. So let me walk you through this. So what we're doing up here is, again, this is a Dreamshaper 8 SD 1.5 workflow right here. And inside this clip text over here, I'm basically just generating this example pose. So this is going to be the pose that we want for our final image. And we can go ahead and change this. Let's do action pose, arms raised. Let's say arms lowered. Now, this does not have to be generated by an AI. This could be an example photograph that you want. Oh no, the arms are not lowered. Let's try that again. Standing in a dynamic action pose. Let's change our seed because I think that's going to help. Let's go ahead and do that there. But this could be a photograph of you. This could be like a real photograph that's guiding your image. Uh, So don't get too focused on how we're generating this base image. Just the concept is we're going to feed these models an example that's not text, an example image of what we want that final output to be. Okay, there you go. Different pose, different person. But this is the pose that we want to feed into the model. So one of the different nodes that we can use is called DW Pose Estimator, and this is part of the ComfyUI ControlNet auxiliary nodes. And what this does is it creates this open pose skeleton map. So let's go ahead and hit go on this because we're going to generate that map. And it's, as you can see, it's now mirroring the exact same pose as the existing image. And each one of these colors is going to help guide the K sampler in order to generate the image in a different style, but the exact same pose as before, the same placement. Another tool, another control net that we have that's really great is Depth Anything V2. And what this does is it generates a depth map. It's a very temporally stable depth map too. V3 is even better. It's really good for video, but you can see it's generating everything we need right there. The next one is a canny edge, and think of this like the outline, the outlined image. Let's make a little bit of room. Again, this is an API node. This is an API version of the script, so it's messy. But think of this like a line drawing, something you just sketch. Sketch to image is another one that literally does this exact same thing, just call it something slightly different. Same principle though. But now we have each one of these different control net images, and then we have a few different ways to apply it. So, well, not a few different ways. It's one way. It's called apply control net, but we're going to be applying it a few different ways for that base image so we can define this new look. So for this apply control net, we're going to be applying the initial pose map skeleton, and then this is going to go up to this top K sampler via decode, and it's going to be outputting. And let's now define what the image that we want to generate is, but we're just going to be talking about the style, not the pose, not what we want the person to be doing, anything like that. But we want a futuristic robot warrior, intricate mechanical armor, glowing blue energy accents, cinematic lighting, highly detailed sharp focus, yada, yada, yada. Whatever you want, you're just going to put this into here. Dreamshaper loves futuristic warriors, so we're just going to keep going with robots and warriors. And then if we go up to here, let's see what the pose guided image looks like. So let's go ahead and hit play. And there you go. We are matching that same pose, but you can see that sword. That sword was ignored because it's not included in the pose. This is all just its own thing, and it made up its idea of where that sword was going to go. Now, if we do a depth guided image, let's go here. Depth guided is going to do a little bit better because it's giving the model more information about the total image, including the placement of the sword. So you're going to see that's now matching that exact same pose as we did before. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Again, we're going to get messy here. It's okay. it's important to kind of get used to it sometimes. We can clean it up later, but you can see we are matching that same pose very, very, very closely based on that original image. And then we have edge canny, which again is going to be very, very close. But you're going to see more of the forms of that base image. So like some of his armor and stuff, it's going to be carried over because it's, again, some additional data that's being added with this pose canny edge detection. It's giving it more stuff to follow. So let's see how it does. It looks like it's hanging, so let's go ahead and kill that. Remember, I give it the 10-second rule. Let's go ahead and hit that and hit go again because this is a very, very fast process, and you should start seeing the case sampler. Let's go ahead and pull this stuff down. I typically don't like working in an API version of workflows, but that's just how it goes sometimes. All right, and there you go. You can again see we're getting kind of the outline of the original armor, the same pose, but the sword looks a little bit less defined, I guess, in here. So again, different methods, different outcomes. There are also LoRAs that you can use that combine all of these different passes into one. So that's a more advanced workflow, but there are possibilities to not just have to pick one, but you can combine them together in order to generate your base image, which is also a very cool thing. So I hope you're kind of seeing you can mix and match these different techniques. You don't have to pick just one path. We can stack LoRAs. We can use ControlNets on top of it. We can all sorts of different ways. These style transfers techniques, these underpainting techniques that we've been talking about, all of these things are different ways to control your image beyond just the prompt. You can give it these contextual different examples of images that you want. So it's a little bit more of a, again, a human-centric, artistic way of controlling your final image beyond just prompting. So this shows the concept of frame it, don't beg for it. We want to tell the model, we're going to give it more information beyond the prompt. So, someone, if you typed a prompt like a person standing on the left looking right, well, that prompt's kind of a wish. I hope that the prompt is, I hope the case sampler and the model are going to give me what I want. But a pose map is a map. It is a detailed instruction. So ControlNets give really kind of move you out of the prompting phase and more in the composition phase. So you really have a lot more control over that final image, which is what it's all about. So now for the next 20 minutes, what I want you guys to do is, again, take the wheel. I want you to play around with LoRAs. Find a new style LoRA, use the ones that we've included in these example workflows, and try 3 different images. Just have some fun with this stuff. Then I want you to play around with style transfers. I want you to go in and maybe take the 4th image that you already have and re-render it in a brand new style using the style transfer workflows that we were just showing. Then I want you to go ahead and start playing around with ControlNets. Feed it in images of that you might take around of yourself with different poses, and then see how you can change that image into a different style, maybe a whole different thing, but you have controlled the pose. And then I want you to export all this stuff and then analyze. I want you to note what changed. Save your results. And for each control, I want you to write down one line. Just open up a notepad and just what it changed and why. Again, this is a really good way to take all of this information and literally pen to paper. It's another just quirk of the human brain. You're going to retain that information a lot quicker. So write it down as you were visually looking at stuff. That's going to be the note in this lesson. So keep it with your own personal files, your own class notes off to the side, and play around this for the next 20 minutes. And after that, I will see you back here for some more fun. All right, now, like with every module, after you have gone around and played with the exercises, you really incorporated all of this information into real things that you've just done. Let's talk about troubleshooting, because again, that is what happens all the time in Comfy. It's something to really sharpen. It's a skill to have really, really sharp going into Comfy. So, what we're going to be talking about, well, let's explore that right here. So when the control slips out of the control is no longer there, you feel like you're totally out of control. Well, it's going to feel like your model's broken, right? Or the LoRa is broken, or something's going on. But it's almost always a setting. So we're going to be talking about the different dials, and it's in each one of the things you want to tweak. So first one is the LoRa isn't affecting the image. Well, that might be the weight is too low, or the prompt is fighting it, and the prompt is winning. So I want you to then raise the strength from 0.8 to all the way to 1, maybe even beyond 1, and see what's going on. Uh, Style could be overcooked. That's You'll see examples of that. When you see it, you'll be like, "Wow, that does look overcooked." But too many LoRas are probably being stacked. Maybe the strength is way too high beyond 1. It looks like it's kind of eating the image almost. So then pull that strength down and do it in zero point 0.1 increments at a time. That's usually a good way to do it. Maybe the control net isn't working. The input map does not match the expected pose that you were looking for. Well, a depth map fed a pose or a raw photo where the preprocessed image might have belonged. So again, match the preprocessor to the model that you're using. You want pose to pose, depth to depth, canny to canny. Style transfer maybe looks noisy. Well, the reference is too busy or it conflicts with what the prompt is asking for. So, a fix here is use a simpler reference, lower the style strength, align the prompt with what you want a little bit closer. Maybe you're asking too much of the style transfer to really give you that painterly look that we were trying to go there. So, tweak some things, go back and forth, and again, be systematic about it. Don't do big, broad swings. Do little, tiny swings. That's the best way to kind of figure it all out. Because control isn't just one switch, it's not just one image, it's a set of dials. It's all about the LoRa strength, the style amount, the control net weight. Every result is going to be determined by those dials inside of those settings. So that's where, when something's looking wrong, I want you to focus on those things. Don't just scrap the whole workflow. Go in and adjust the dials. And once you have gotten a hand of that, which I feel like you already have, I feel like you're doing great. I haven't seen any of your stuff because this is pre-recorded, but I am sure you're doing awesome. And right now, you are directing the image. It's not just the prompt. You're starting to control the image over what that final look is, as you as an artist want to see Comfy produce. And you've got so many tools in the toolbox to do so. And you've just seen us go through LoRa's, style transfers, control nets, mixing and matching them all. So that is what we have just covered today. I hope you are feeling excited about this. I'm feeling excited about your progress, and I can't wait to jump into Module 4. We're going to keep exploring how awesome Comfy is. So I will see you all in just a bit.